What's up, guys? Connor Ferguson here with Jeff Woody and Colin Newell. This is Fart. Before we get started today, I've got a heck of a Wiffles hybrid ad because I did my research. Wiffles hybrid. Independence can't be bought, licensed, or stolen. It can, however, be planted, and that's what they do at Wiffles Hybrids. Took that right off the website. They're fiercely independent. They're the best independent company in the world, better than ours, by a long shot. By a long shot. Wiffles Hybrids. Go check it out today.
Wow, look at you go.
See?
Still research.
I'm going to talk myself out of the job I'm in, just talking about how much I love companies that support our podcast.
And Wiffles might be giving you a call.
I hope so. I want nothing more because I have no clue what they do. So I want to learn about
It's
that.
hybrid corn, man. They're creating hybrid corn. It's hybrid corn. It's
I got
resistant
that
to
part
different
of it.
diseases.
Yeah,
It's planting corns.
There's
different
a
conditions.
lot of layers into it. Why is
that-
93H05? That's not actually a product name. They do have numbers in front of them though. But that's where I get confused. What do the numbers mean?
I'm not sure what there is a system. Otherwise, you wouldn't use numbers.
I want to learn the system.
You should call them.
Maybe I will. That's how I'm going to play. I'm going to do my afternoon. I'll do a blog. I'll tell you guys how easy it was. That'd be a good one.
Do it. Do it.
I think Jeff wants me to do it just to see how bad it would turn out.
You're 100%
He's like the whole
right.
time he thinks he's talking about hybrid combines. Like, I don't know why.
Send it to all our farmer buddies. And they'll be like,
Look
"Who's
at
this
this
guy?"
idiot.
Yeah, Cyclo Fanatic would lose a couple subscribers
Oh
probably.
man. Well, they gained a couple on Saturday night after that Iowa State 30-10 win over Cincinnati.
Boy, I mean, it feels like a combination of Iowa State is they've multiple games now where all three phases have played really well, whereas back-to-back where you've got good offense, good defense, good special teams against TCU. Now you have good offense, good defense, good special teams against Cincinnati. And at the same time, Cincinnati is hurting for some offense. I mean, you get TJ Tampa did an excellent job and their one kind of stud receiver, and you take that guy out of the game, and they don't have much of anything. They had 214 yards of offense.
Is it just me, or does this kind of feel like a tale of two seasons? Like, started off really, everyone was excited, like, holy buckets, look at the UNI game. And then it was like, oh, we got a couple struggles here. But now it's like, holy buckets, like, this offense is coming around. Defense is playing great. No turnovers. We create 2 interceptions. Like, win the turnover battle. Special teams. Like, you talk about true team football. Like, that's a couple weeks in a row now that we've seen offense really go out there, execute at a high level. Scoring 30 points on a Big 12 defense is always a good thing to do, and then holding the defense or offense to 10 points is huge. That's a big win for Iowa State going on the road.
Well, and the crazy thing with that 30 is it felt like they still left some on the table. Like there was that first interception, TJ Tampa undercuts a corner route. They get the ball in like the 27 and only get a field goal out of it. Like that there's another situation where I think they kicked the field goal after the big kick return, right? Coming out of half. I don't think they scored a touchdown on that. So like you have 2 short fields and you don't turn them into points, or you don't turn them into touchdowns. So like it was 30-10, but it could have been more than that. And yeah, it is I don't mean to shit on Iowa more than I need to, just because then you find your way on the internet and then everybody's chirping at you, whatever. But
Clip this in.
the thing that Iowa State has done is the thing that everyone on the planet wants Iowa to do, which is after the Ohio game, they said, this is not a sustainable offense. Our personnel isn't good enough to do this. We're not executing it in the way that we need to. We need to find a way to make this offense work. And if we do that, we don't have to sacrifice our defense in a way to do that. Then they made a couple changes. They did. I mean, Malik Verdun wasn't in for Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, so that kind of hurt a little bit. But then the offense was able to transform to what it needed to be, and the coaching staff got out of the way of their own stubbornness to create the offense that it wants to be. And now you have an offense and a defense. Both of those things existed because the coaching staff got out of the way. And like, again, not trying to trash Iowa more than I need to. That's the thing that they want, that like fans, and again, as an analyst, I get to cover their defense and I get to cover their special teams. I have to cover their offense for the Channel 5 show that I do. People aren't wanting like Iowa to just completely wholesale change the whole program. It's just like, do anything on offense. And
adapt a little bit.
And so like that's what people are expecting. So all the stuff that people have been asking the Iowa program to do, Iowa State had like one little small amount of like the same level of frustration on offense. They said, change it. Mm-hmm. So like that is to me a testament to the coaching staff all the way top to bottom, offense, defense, special teams, everybody, of recognizing that what they were doing was not sustainable. It was not the right decisions. And then saying, we screwed up. Let's switch this. And now you've gotten the results. And would anybody be surprised? Like at this moment right now, I don't, not cart in front of the horse. At this moment right now, would anyone be surprised if Iowa State was in Arlington at the end of the year?
No.
Not tremendously surprised.
Right. Like a
I'd say
little
it
bit.
would surprise me a bit because I don't envision that road to be a sure thing. But I know they're going to be in. I need to come out and what Chris said about the text I sent him, because he claimed that I said Iowa State to Arlington for sure. We're making a Big 12 championship trip this year. All I'm saying is the way it's set up and winning that game at that moment. I tweeted about this on Saturday. There's still 3 Big 12 games to be played on Saturday and 6 more this weekend. All 3 of those games, to what you wanted as an Iowa State fan standings wise, all 3 of them went the exact way you wanted. Okay. So however these 6 shake out, they're still right now one of 2 teams with 3 wins. You're going to be going into each of the next 3 games. You're going to expect to win when you take the field. And
Yeah,
I know
which those next games are, for as a little pause, at Baylor, again,
against
at
Kansas,
home against Kansas, and then
then
at
at-
BYU.
yes, and obviously players take the field and they expect to win every game they play. Right? Is that a good
True.
assumption?
True fact.
But you're going to have a chance, and the fans are going to expect you to win them too. And you're looking at it, okay, if you don't lose until then, you could be 6-1 with 2 weeks left to go in the regular season with basically a couple of tie-breaking scenario games against Texas and then on the road at Kansas State. And what those look like in 3 weeks, I don't know. But at the very least, the next 3 games are very, very winnable.
I think it's cool to see this young team. Like, it's a lot of young dudes out there, and you can tell that, like, they're getting confidence. I mean, how many freshmen did you see that you're having to pull up the roster and be like, who is that guy? Who is it? Wait, what? Who's that guy on defense?
And that contributes to that momentum and growth throughout the year too, because it's a lot easier to make a freshman tremendously better than it is a 5th-year senior tremendously better. right?
Absolutely, and just get out there. I mean, I've talked about this before, but like confidence. If you can go out there and you can play confident like that young freshman or that guy that hasn't played a ton, and all of a sudden he's getting that opportunity to go out there and show what he does. Oh, I bust a big play. I make a big tackle. I pick the ball off. I go make a big hit. Like, that's an opportunity for that guy to elevate himself and then ultimately elevate the team. You know what I mean? Like, even seeing the fake field goal, like, how exciting is that for a sideline to be able to go out there and make a big play? It was great to see us kind of copy a playbook there and put that one in.
I don't know.
That was straight stolen from the Oklahoma game last year.
Van
Had to
Winkle
be,
put them
yeah.
up side to side.
Yeah, it's the exact same play.
Yeah.
They straight up stole it, which imitation's the finest form of flattery.
There's something that just gets my jollies off when I'm watching Iowa State just completely rip a play off somebody. I just think it's so funny.
Well,
I don't know why. Just
why
adds to
reinvent the wheel?
Well, yeah, if it works.
Right.
if you're getting a look that works, and it was basically the look that you had, do that. I mean, they stole the Mike Gundy walk a fat guy on the field when a team substitutes late. They just straight stole that. Didn't do that until Oklahoma State, and then after Oklahoma State, they were like, I like doing that. And they had the fat guy switch when they needed the fat guy switch, and they stole the fake field goal. But the other thing that's really nice, thinking about just the experience the young guys are getting, is between offensive linemen, which I was going to ask you about in a second, but between skill guys too, like on the offensive side. The defense, we've known they're good. Like, that's not really all that surprising.
Yep.
They found, I think by this point in this season, they found the rotation and when they need to rotate, because like you need to keep 4, 17, and 7 on the field in big critical moments. But when the moments are at the start of a drive or you like the personnel matchup, you can substitute somebody else in. So they know what the rotations are. That's really all you're feeling out on defense. But offensively, there's a reason why like Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes are like the best, and then Tyreek Hill and Tua Tagovailoa. Like those, the reason that those guys are as good as they are is because they know where the other one's going to be, like to the inch. You know, they say this is an opening. I'm going to stop in this opening because Patrick wants me to be just the outside of this whatever, or he wants me to run this a little bit short against this coverage. And so Rocco and the receivers now have had enough reps that the receivers understand where Rocco wants them to be to make his job easier. So like Higgins had this monster game, and one of them was just like a straight fade ball down the sideline that he just mossed somebody on, which cool. But then there's other big routes that he had, which were like in breaking routes across the middle, where you have to get a window that Rocco can see. It has to be on rhythm, on time. So like the receivers at this point in the season have found the way, like they've built enough. They have enough experience under their belt with Rocco to understand where he wants them and where Rocco wants them to be. And I would imagine the offensive line by this point, this is the third game in a row we've seen the same lineup. I would imagine that same thing is happening on the offensive line.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing is first of all, I think Eli Sanders has done a great job of coming in there and hitting holes and making big plays, and that helps any offensive line out when you see some big runs and gives you that confidence to go out there and say, hey, we got a back here who's going to hit some stuff. 13-yard run, 20-yard run, 12-yard run for longs for Eli Sanders, Cortavius North, and Carson Hansen. Those are some chunk plays. Those are opportunities for an offensive line to get movement and to make, big plays force the defense to change a little bit. They're forced to think about what's going on and try to eliminate those big plays. So they may do something that's uncharacteristic or anything like that. But I think the level of just grittiness that they're playing with, you know what I mean? You got these tackles pulling around the edge and smoking people and creating holes and getting people covered up on the second level. That the line of scrimmage has really been something that's drastically changed these last 2-3 games. And just watching Black come in there, and he's a physical player. You got all those dudes who's in there, and Jim's in there and doing great job. And I think it's been really fun to see how they've kind of been able to adapt the run game to what the offensive line's really good at, as well as what the tailbacks are hitting well.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge thing is like, kind of like you said, like, hey, if something's not working, if we're not going to be great at zone football, well, hey, if we can run gap or anything like that, gap power, then hey, if we can be really good at that and that's what fits our personnel well, let's make sure we do it.
One thing I wanted to be able to shout out to, and he's taken a lot of heat this year, and has legitimately has taken has had a lot of bad games. But James Neal, the left tackle, has. I don't know if there's been a person who's improved as much throughout the season
from game 1 and 2, 3 to now. It's unbelievable what the turnaround he's had.
Bad week 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
bad, like jumping out of windows. Like, and by that I mean like that was an expression you'd sometimes use where like if you're trying to hit somebody and you just completely miss, it literally looks like you're jumping out a window. He jumped out of so many windows early in the season, and this is something that I hadn't heard until I think it was Heft on the radio show. So this is his 3rd year of organized football. James Neal's.
Yeah,
he's just a big human that like, hey buddy, like you should play football. Like okay, and then did it. How much do you think Hufford being next to him helps? Because Hufford's been playing football for like 30 years.
Yeah, old man now. Yeah, no, it's so true. I think the other thing is just game reps. Like, so his career reps have been against Iowa State's defense, which we all know that one of the great things about Iowa State's defense is that teams every week have to prepare for something that's going to be a little bit different than what they're used to seeing in the rest of the country. So when all he has reps at is going against a defense that's a little bit unique,
or JUCO reps,
then, and that was a couple of years ago now at this point. So like how much you're able to apply to that situation is kind of up for debate, but I just think it's crazy to see like, hey, he's now got reps where it's, hey, I prepared for a game week while managing school, while managing keeping my body healthy, while, social life, whatever it may be. It takes a lot. And then to be able to go out there and say, hey, I'm still new in football. I haven't seen a bunch of reps. I haven't seen a bunch of different techniques and stuff like that. And so he's starting to get a little bit of confidence. I think you can see that. So not just going against Iowa State defense, I'm going against a real defense in a live game on ESPN, on whatever, FS1, and you have to be able to prepare for that and be able to make adjustments on the fly because defense always have a little bit something different that they're going to do against every team, but they have their core fundamentals. Those core fundamentals maybe are a little bit different than what Iowa State's defense is. So he's clearly just taking enormous leaps of growth in his game, and I think that's really helped out the offensive line a lot too as a whole because, they got 5 guys out there that they're trotting out that are big dudes. They're physical.
They're confident.
And we're starting to run the ball. And we gave up 2 sacks this week, but still on the season, we've kept Rocco pretty clean.
4, 5 sacks maybe on the entire season. We're 7 games in.
Yeah, that's something you can. A lot of 0-sack games, which is just huge. So I think it's going to be a huge opportunity to continue to see him grow, continue to see more defenses. Big time games is when guys need to grow the most, and we've played in a couple of those now, and just excited to see what he can do over the next couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the big thing of just what Iowa State's doing that we haven't seen before and has kind of just been an additional thing, and I've been trying to find this interception number where they rank interceptions interception wise across the nation, but 2 more picks on Saturday. Like that sticks out. This team is so much better at picking the ball off, and I don't know how much of it's luck. I truly have no idea where I'd like land in that argument. So
Iowa State is currently 2nd in the country.
how do
Wow.
you find it so
Interceptions.
fast?
NCAA.com.
I'm using stats.ncaa.org. Gosh,
Mm.
I sound like a nerd.
What a mess.
Way to go, Aiden.
So
Good job, Aiden.
Liberty,
Thanks,
prepared
Aiden.
Liberty through 6 games has 13. Oklahoma through 6 games has 12. Then Iowa State through 7 games also has 12.
So between Oklahoma and Iowa State, 2 Power 5 teams that have the most interceptions.
I think it's huge. I mean, we've kind of seen it. Like, hey, you win the turnover battle. Iowa State historically, football across the country is pretty darn good if you win the turnover battle. Give yourself a shot, and Bert Rocco's done a pretty good job of keeping the ball in Iowa State's hands, managing the game, and making sure that hey, when I got to go make a big throw, I make a good throw, and it's not going to be one that is going to end up in the other team's hands.
Yeah, one other thing that's nice about, I mean, we knew the secondary was going to be good coming into the season. I don't think we all expected them to be this good. You know, like Jeremiah Cooper kind of came out and like people were expecting him to be a solid player, but you know, these safeties. I did before the Oklahoma game, which is right before they gave up 50 points. I mentioned like on that radio or on a radio show for the Oklahoma whatever radio network that I think there's 4 future NFL guys in the secondary right now between Tampa, Cooper, Freeler, and Verdun. Like if those 4 guys have a legitimate shot of being draft picks in the NFL. Well, if we knew they were going to be good. We just didn't know how good they were going to be. But one of the things that this allows them to do is with this good of a secondary is that the linebackers have been able to come along with way less stress than they otherwise would be. Because linebackers, I think there's only 2 upperclassmen. I think Gary Vaughn's like a 9th-year senior. And then Lovett, I think, is he a junior? Lovett, my sophomore, junior. I think he's a junior, perhaps.
He's
Either
the
way,
Missouri transfer,
yeah,
right?
the Mizzou transfer. I don't know if he's a sophomore or junior, but either way, then you have McLaughlin, underclassman, Sadowski, true freshman, Willick, true freshman, right? Redshirt, true. He's a freshman. Either way, like it's just young. I mean, I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but
Lovett's a redshirt sophomore. By the way.
redshirt. Oh, so Lovett's a redshirt sophomore. Caleb Bacon's a redshirt sophomore. Like it's just a young group. They have 1 upperclassman in the entire linebacker room that is getting significant snaps, and so this secondary has provided some shielding for the linebackers to grow. Now we're seeing the linebackers start to grow in the same way that we're seeing the running backs and quarterbacks start to grow. Now this linebacking crew can start to become part of the defense as an asset and not as a liability as they're in the wrong spot. I think McLaughlin started to he's starting to click a lot more and understanding the responsibilities of that weird Sam linebacker position. So it's like a safety, it's like a linebacker and a half. And so he's starting, I mean, just the linebacking crew has been doing a lot better because this secondary is so freaking good that you try and throw against anybody. Which matchup are you going to try and pick? Basically, the only matchup, if I'm an offense, that I would like to see is if we can get a down the field route against Purchase. If it's an underneath route against Purchase, it's going to be really well defended. If I'm going to try any route against TJ Tampa, that's not great. I don't like any matchup with anybody against Jeremiah Cooper because probably not going to get my 1 or 2 receiver on him. So my number 3 receiver on Jeremiah Cooper, I don't like that either. Well, a tight end on Verdun or Freeler.
No, thank you.
I don't love that matchup either. So there's really not any matchups if they're playing any version of man or even just any concept of zone where people line up. There's nothing that I really like against the secondary. So the linebackers can be a lot freer to just help in there. So that's the thing is the secondary is so freaking good this year that they're helping everybody else along.
Well, and when we have seen teams, even short passes, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm not going to go down the field against TJ Tampa. I'm not going to do anything crazy. Like, Jeremiah Cooper flying in the open field, like, making the tackle right there, stop ball, gain the yard. Like, Blake
second and
Verdon
9.
coming in and stopping their tight end, gain a 2. Like, hey, yeah, you can try to do quick pass game and see if you can make a couple people miss, but we haven't seen people miss.
Other than TCU.
We
did in the first half of TCU. But this, I mean, I think that was nice that your screw-ups weren't catastrophic screw-ups. You have a really bad tackling game, but you also have a really good interception game. So it's not like you have a bad tackling game. Like the Oklahoma game, that is bad mistakes that are capitalized into horrible mistakes versus the TCU game was bad mistakes that were not capitalized into things. And you learn from both.
Yes.
It's just you hope that you can get out with a win and be like, man, really got to work on this, and then still get a W from it. And that's so it feels like Iowa State through just past the halfway point of the season. I mean, call it the halfway point of the season. Just through the halfway point of the season, it feels like they've kind of identified the team they are going to become and the way they're going to play, and have learned through in the last couple of weeks wins in how to get there.
Man, after that Ohio game, it feels like we're going into season 3 after this bye weekends of this season.
Oh, with preseason,
No,
preseason than the first.
The feel after the Ohio game, both on social media and just in the realm. I had a guy like get really pissed off that he was seeing sprint car or late model tweets the night of the Ohio game because I was covering a race. He's like, I can't believe you have the gall to tweet about racing tonight after that game today.
We must mourn.
Sorry, I have a job.
We must mourn.
I just put up a black square and it's like Iowa State lost today. No race updates tonight, everybody. But like just the mood and the transition from where they were then to today, it feels so astronomical. I don't think you can ever replicate it.
I think you got to give a lot of credit to the coaching staff, and then ultimately the players going out there and saying, "Hey, what do we got to do to win? What do we got to do to get a little bit of confidence? What do we got to do to adjust and make sure that, hey, we can do this?" And Coach Schilhaus has done a great job, I think, being able to say, "Hey, first year guy, hey, this is what we're going to come out and do. This is how we're going to identify. This is how we're going to look." And then, hey, we do have to change. Like, I mean, ultimately, coaches' abilities to change and be able to adapt with what they have for personnel. We've seen him just doing an elite job, and I'm sure Coach Campbell's helped out and all his staff. But, I mean, that's an incredible job to see the turnaround that they've been able to put out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to look at around the Big 12 a little bit, unless you think we should dive deeper into this game or deeper into Baylor before that. It's up to you guys.
No, I think just before I like that going around the Big 12 because it actually matters now that Iowa State's towards the top of it.
That's a massive thing for your fan base too. When I say like how big that win was, and I'm talking to everybody about like when they got it, and there's probably some people at home that are like, well, who cares if they played the 11 a.m. game and won in the same situation than the 7 p.m. And it doesn't matter, but you just feel so much better because you're seeing everything go your way and you're seeing yourself up in that area of the standings. So that impacts the fan base. It impacts the team to a bit of an extent. I'm sure you guys don't have a big standings board anywhere in the locker room.
The only nice thing about getting a win at 11 a.m. game is that you're getting home at like 8 p.m. with a win. And then you can like go to bed at a normal time. Like you can get dinner at your like around wherever you're going to get. Like that is legitimately nice. Like 11 a.m. road games, you got to wake up really early, but you get home at a reasonable time. Versus like a 7 p.m. road game. I remember we had an 8 p.m. Eastern kickoff at Connecticut, and I legit think we got back at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
That was the Friday night game, right?
No, it was a Saturday.
It was a Saturday?
I'm pretty sure it was a
I
Saturday.
can one up you.
Okay.
UNLV
Oh boy.
late night game.
Oh boy.
Got home, and I can't sleep on an airplane or traveling or anything like that. So you wake up. We went out there a day early, so then you're getting adjusted to the time, and then game's late at night, and you're in Vegas. Like, what the heck's going on here? You're driving by like to the game, and you're going by the strip and everything like that. And then the game's late. I don't remember what the kickoff was.
It was a 7 p.m. West Coast time, so it was 9 p.m. here. Because I remember I got married that week, and it was on the East Coast, and it was a 10 p.m. kickoff where we were.
Yeah, it was miserable. Well, I mean, it's a fun game, but
I was going to say.
getting back, and it was like 6 a.m.
I believe
And
it.
I didn't sleep a single second because it's like I just can't sleep when I'm traveling. Unfortunately, I wish I could. But like, so literally from like 8 a.m. till 6 a.m., playing a football game, flying back, doing all this stuff. I mean, so much happens in 24 hours. You play a football game, you fly in the night before, you play a football game, and then you leave.
Yeah, and then you leave, and then the next day you get up, you have treatment to make sure that because everybody gets some type of bump and bruise.
Yep.
Then you watch film on that, you do a lift to kind of like get everything out, and then you introduce the next team.
Yeah,
well, it's not like a heavy scouting report, but it's like, hey, we're playing whoever Baylor next week. Baylor runs a 3-down front. Here's the numbers that you're going to get used to. Their safety number 0 as a player, and then walk through like 5 of them, and then you go home. But like, yeah, in a 24-hour time frame. You're going to fly out, play a game, fly back, get checked in, do a lift, watch film, get introduced to the next one. That's like 36 hours of whirlwind.
I remember like a good group of people just went and like, all right, we're just going to start a little rehab now and see if we can't delay this a little bit and maybe get our Sunday off here a little bit because it's like, Well, I'm here at 6 a.m. Do I really want to go home? Like, I've already been up for 20 hours. What's another 2-3 hours to go and getting some treatment and feeling better and then having some time to sleep? So, yeah, that was an interesting one.
Yeah, but anyway, you were saying 11 MK. We got really derailed that one. But the
No,
thing
you're
about
good.
like
You guys are fine.
The bye week, the only thing is like going into the bye week. My opinion is I would rather at this point with how the season's gone, I'd rather not have a bye week right now
Because you're playing
because
so
you're
well.
playing
You
so
want-
well
yeah.
and you're in such a good groove. But I don't think that it's a bad thing because there are some like, everybody's got some ding going on. And, we talked about using Verdun as the example. It's a soft tissue injury. The more time you can get off, the better. A guy like Gary Vaughn, his shoulder, the more, if you can rest for 2 weeks and then come back, you're going to be better off. Like Steve-O had a hell of a game. He's actually turning into like a real tight end, not just a fullback. But his shoulder early in the season was bothering him. So like this next 2 weeks, you want to keep playing because you're in such a groove, but at the same time, getting guys healthy is going to be a nice little break. But like, I personally would rather keep playing.
I think I completely understand what you're saying. Like, so nice to, when you're hot, you're hot. Like all these dudes are settling into a routine by
Yeah,
week 6.
it's like a baseball player who's hit 2 home runs in a row. It's like, you can't wait to get that guy back in the box.
Yeah. But I mean, bye weeks are huge too, just for that recovery aspect. Like, hey, you get not take a breath, but you get to look around you. You get to see how school's going. You get to see how family's doing because you get into such a routine.
Did your coaches go recruit during bye weeks too?
They did a little bit.
Yeah, because I remember it was like the back half of like the bye week itself, because you have, it's 2 weeks off. So the bye week, the coaches would go recruit from like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Like some of them, not all of them would, but like some would go recruit locally to go, especially on Fridays, because then you can actually go watch
a
high school game in within a reasonable drivable distance. You can actually go do that. So yeah, I didn't know if the Campbell staff did that too.
Yep. But no, I mean, bye weeks are huge, especially like I feel like there's always a guy, at least when I was there, I'm sure probably the same thing with you, but like, hey, it's midseason, like coaches are grooving, moving, like, hey, so much is shaking out, and it's like, okay, now we have some young guys, like, who can play. Like, they're going to get some opportunities to show what they can do. It feels like there's always a dude who kind of comes out of this bye week, like a couple more of those young guys getting a couple more reps than they normally do. And it's like, oh, dang, that kid can play. Like, he's been busting his butt. Like, hey, we might be able to get him in here on a rep or two. And it always seems like there's one guy either, whether it adds a little bit of depth coming off bye week or something. But it seems like there's always a great opportunity for a young guy or even an older guy who just finally gets their shot with some of the starters not taking as many reps, for them to kind of show what they can do.
Yeah, and you talk about how overwhelming things can get with school and everything, and how many true freshmen or redshirt freshmen are now playing and trying to balance, life and everything like that. Like to have a week where you can catch up is really, really big.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially because it's towards the end of the semester.
Yep.
So you've probably got like, I don't know, depending on the major, like you have projects that if you can get ahead of,
Right.
then you're not dealing with those projects in like dead week. Or if you're like, you have, I don't know, tests that are coming up, you can spend a good amount of your time actually like studying a little bit for it. Or you could just, I don't know, go home and see your parents. Like I was close. And so like on a Friday night after a practice, you could just go home. Like you can, not necessarily every single time, but like stay Friday night to Saturday afternoon at mom and dad's house, get some laundry done, like have mom cook you a meal, and then come back up and like just decompress for a little bit. So yeah, academically it's nice, but also just like emotionally, especially for the local guys. And every once in a while, there's a guy from Texas that I brought to like go home with family just cause.
Well, and you're literally gassed about it all the way down. Like, you got to get ready for the next week. You got to take care of your body. You got to do school. You got to make sure that you're lifting. You got to do all this, that, and the other. And it's not that you like come all the way off, but you slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, you go to fourth gear instead of fifth gear.
Maybe you get home at 5 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock every night. 3 extra hours of you to, even if it's just sitting on your couch, it's a little time for you just to decompress, or maybe that means you and a couple buddies going to go out to dinner or something like that. So I think it's just a huge opportunity for teams to grow together, truthfully, because, hey, you get a couple other dudes who are in the training room because, hey, it's bye week. I have a little more time. I don't feel like I'm having to miss class or do something this, that, or the other. So I'm able to make sure that my body gets right and be around the dudes and stuff like that.
So now around the Big 12.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. We got Oklahoma and Iowa State are the only two teams with 3 wins right now. Obviously, Oklahoma 3-0, Iowa State 3-1, and then Okie State, you already beat them. Then you have Texas; they're on your schedule as well. K-State also on your schedule. West Virginia; those are the 2-1 teams. everyone else has 2 losses or more. I think that's massive in this race. I think the teams that you've proven to the games that they've won already. Maybe Oklahoma State, you could argue that if they played again, it'd be 5-5 through 10 games if they played a 10-game series. But I think you look at TCU and you look at Cincinnati and you're like, we're way better than both those teams. And you look at other games those teams have played against people, and it's like,
well, TCU,
oh man, TCU looks way better than
the
BYU.
tar out of BYU.
Yeah.
It was like 44-14.
Yeah.
And wasn't it in Provo or was it in Fort Worth?
Let me double check.
I think it was it might have been in Fort Worth. Either way, like you beat a team by 30.
It's in TCU.
It was in Fort Worth. But like either way, you beat a team by 30. And that's one of the teams, like that's another nice thing about kind of where Iowa State's schedule is. I'm not sure if Jalen Daniels is going to play. I don't know what his injury is and what the situation is. There's a bunch of different rumors and a bunch of different things happen. But you have at Baylor, which right now Baylor is sort of tail spinny.
And they play Cincinnati
this week, which is going to give you a decent idea of what's going on. But at the same time, it's still Baylor, it's still Waco. But you have Baylor, who, as far as the existing Big 12 teams, that's the one you want to play the most. And then you have Kansas at home. Well, with Jason Bean being the quarterback, that offense is a lot different than Jalen Daniels. A lot different. Because they can run the same way. Between Daniels and Bean, they run the same way.
Yeah.
They don't throw the same way. Daniels is a substantially more efficient passer. And so with this defense being able to take away the pass and get turnovers as much as they have been able to get turnovers, the Kansas game with Jason Bean looks a lot more comfortable. And again, I don't want to say comfortable because it's still a Lance Leipold team. They are still really, really good. But the odds go up a little bit if Jalen Daniels doesn't play, even though I would still say you're probably going to be, if not favored mathematically, like by metrics favored. And then you have BYU. And to this point, BYU has not looked all that strong. And they're going to look, it is going to be even harder for them because that's going to be 3 more weeks of getting punched in the face by Big 12 teams before you even get there. And if you have some, let's say BYU has won 1 game total, and that was against Cincinnati. By the time they get to that game, and you're 1-6, hosting a team that is, highly higher in the standings, could theoretically be 5-1, 4-2, somewhere in there. And that team starts to get out front. That team will very quickly be like, screw this, I'm done with this season. It happens faster. And then you get Texas, Kansas State. But like the next 3 weeks, you've got the opportunity against the bottom. It's the soft spot of your schedule.
Oh yeah,
is these past 5, 2 weeks prior, 1 week prior. I think TCU is still a tougher game than people are giving it credit for. But the past Cincinnati, Baylor, Kansas, BYU, that is as soft of a section of schedule as you're going to get. It's not easy, but it's softer than what they had the start and the end of the year.
I have a nugget. I was trying to interrupt you because I'm so excited to tell you. Do you know who Kansas plays the week before they come to Ames?
Oklahoma.
It's Oklahoma.
Turnover city, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Could do a lot to a team. Could turn them into world beaters like it did Iowa State losing to Oklahoma. Because since then, complimentary football.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Kansas has the
but 4
pieces
plays.
on defense that Iowa State does.
No.
Oh no,
Iowa
I'm
State's defense.
being facetious. You get it. No, I think you're set up to 3 games against 2 teams that haven't proven anything. Well, Baylor has proven something, that it is a complete shit show in Waco. I follow a ton of Baylor fans on Twitter. They're done on Oranda. No clue where this team is going. They've watched 1 good quarter in like the last 12 that they've played. No one in Waco feels good about the football team.
Well, players don't probably listen to the media.
I'm sure
But-
the
but
players
the-
might feel differently than the fans. But yes,
But I'm
yeah.
sure that the way they've been playing football, it's very uninspired. I'm sure that they're probably pretty spot on with some of because there's a lot of Iowa State fans who were like not bought in on this team for a little while during the season. And the turnaround that they've had, it's like, oh yeah, well, hey, they actually do have some talent out there. It's like sometimes it takes a little while, but watching Iowa State play through those struggles, like fought to the end, like lost a couple close games, but like they battled.
Yeah, like the Iowa game. You're down
Yeah.
by 2 scores. You score 1 late. You almost get the chance to get down there. Yeah.
And watching Baylor, you do not see that.
Yeah. And another thing about just like the advantage they have, again, I don't want to, I'm not trying to end up on a message board. I'm not going to say anything which is truly outlandish because it's never as good as it seems and it's never as bad as it seems. But the opportunity you have against a team that's reeling is the same opportunity you have against like the when Texas comes to Iowa in November, like it's the same type of thing, which if the game is close, there's no advantage. It doesn't matter what had happened in the past 5 weeks. They're still going to be fighting. They're still going to be competing. But it gets to be 21-10, 24-7, somewhere in that range where you're getting to the kind of the jump off the cliff moment of, are we going to fight to get back in this game, or we're just gonna be like, man, screw this, we're almost done. Like that's when the cold or the bad pass or the you have a backup quarterback or all that's a reason. At those moments is when the white flag tends to come out faster. And so if you're if you're playing against a team like Baylor and they are reeling a bit, and you're able to get, like, if the game goes like it went against Cincinnati where they can do nothing on offense and you get up by 17 points and they've got like 85 total yards, there very quickly becomes like, screw this, I don't care. That's when it becomes a difference. If the game is close, it doesn't matter. It's the same game as what you would get if the team had won 5 in a row. It's just a matter of what game situation allows for a better advantage against a team. And so you have the potential to land the knockout punch faster against these next 3 opponents than you otherwise would.
And I think it'll be cool to see a young team, see if they can land a couple knockout punches and, hey, let's go sneak out with a 30-10 victory. Let's go do this and really dominate the game and then be able to play our football. Let's get better at our football. Let's not have to force things or make anything happen like that.
The one last thing that I kind of want to talk about with the Big 12 or Iowa State is what I want to see out of this team come the bye week. I don't want to say like not too many smiles because you want to enjoy it, but like your shit still stinks. Understand that, because this is for 2 weeks. You're getting pat on the back being like, y'all are so good, man. You guys have it all put together. You guys are going to go to the championship game. Can you deal with that? That is a new level that this team, I mean, they came in with expectations and they beat UNI and then whatever, but you're still going up against Iowa. It wasn't that same thing. Can you deal with success? Like that is the challenge that this team is going to be going into. So it's not like I don't want to see smiles of like, everyone's like, you should enjoy wins. Yeah. However, you cannot go into these next couple of weeks complacent because you've played 3 or 4 good games. You have to have the same amount of hunger to come out and continue to play good football. And that's the challenge that I think Iowa State's staring down right now.
And I think that they have a lot of good seniors and quite honestly, like even Rocco, young guy, like he seems like a dude who like he wants to win football games. Like he's not going to let anything like this get to his head. Jalen Knoll isn't going to let stuff like this slip. Gary Vaughn, not going to let it slip. Bo Freeler, not going to let it slip. I think there's a lot of dudes out there that will be the best players, also the leaders, and saying like, no, it's like gas pedal now. Like it's not like, oh, it's late in the season, getting along. Like a lot of these dudes haven't played this long of a season that are freshmen. That's a difference.
Yeah, it's 9 games in high school. It's 12 weeks plus a bye in college. That's a month longer.
So that's a huge difference that a lot of people don't even realize. Like in Iowa high school football, like we're playing our 9th game this week. We're on the bye week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're halfway through. You're done in high school. You are halfway through in college.
It's a difference.
Drastically different. The only thing I was going to mention from Cincinnati, next time I'll interrupt you because it would have been well placed. But I think it's prevalent in all 4 Big 12 games. And I know this is not a skill that is just flat out usable, but I think this staff is realizing how integral it is to play with a lead with these new clock rules. I know you aren't as bullish on how impactful they are as I am, but even Oklahoma, they come out firing right away. Like if we can get a lead to play with, it makes it that much harder to come back because every first down you're reeling clock.
That's true, and there actually were only 10 drives per team in this game, and really? it's not like it was a.
Are you coming around on my?
To some degree, I wouldn't say I'm like fully in the camp because I don't think it's changed.
This has been on my bucket list for 3 years, was to get you to agree.
I think it has some impact because if there was only 10 possessions and you get out to a lead. I don't remember it was 10-7. I think was the first lead they got, and they went 17-7. And you get to that point, and then you can sleeper hold, especially with the secondary that you have. Generally, not going to give up big plays. Knock on wood. So yeah, you can do a little bit more suffocating the other team. Like I said, only 10 drives in the entire game against a fairly slow possession offense. Yeah.
Being able to run the football is huge in that game too, especially late in the season. If weather gets bad, anything like that, if we can show that, hey, we can hold the clock, get a lead, hold the clock, and produce first downs, get into third and short. And I feel like we were really efficient throughout the day, pretty much on Saturday.
Yeah, it looks like everything came together. And how much of that is Cincinnati? How much of it is this run that you're on? How much, there's question marks. Give us 7 days. We'll come back next week and we'll just claim Arlington
Yes.
right off the bat. Sound good?
It's a little bit bold, but
Well, it's 7 days with no games to play. I'm just gonna sit around and get hyped. That's the message. Like,
all right, good.
It'll
We'll
be
just
fun to
get
watch.
excited.
It'll be fun to watch some other Big 12 games. Obviously, a big week in college football. Just
So
be in
who's
the midseason point.
who's playing on Saturday?
In the
and we'll
Big
just
12?
and we'll just determine rooting interest.
Yeah. Oh, it's easy for rooting interest. UCF at Oklahoma.
Okay. Actually, you want Oklahoma.
You're playing with fire a little
For
bit.
me, in this situation, Oklahoma's not going to lose 2 games. You already lost to Oklahoma, so you don't want to be in a tiebreaker situation against Oklahoma, because if there's a 3-way tie or whatever, it's who beat whom. And so you want Oklahoma, because they beat you, to be clear of the field and not be in a tiebreak with them if you're going to be looking for that championship game. So yeah,
Jeff's a fan of one of the teams leaving for the SEC after this year. For this
no,
weekend.
it's just positive rooting interest.
know.
So Oklahoma, I think that you want Oklahoma to be undefeated.
It's at Oklahoma too. It's not like you have the.
Oh,
bounce
that game's
house.
going to be 70-10.
Yeah.
Dylan
Baylor
Gabriel.
Baylor
playing his whole
travels
team.
to Cincinnati. Desperate Cincinnati team really needs a win. That's an ESPN Plus game, 11 a.m.
So Baylor at Cincinnati. I think you want Cincinnati to win that game, because
You do.
if Baylor's able to come out and get a little bit of confidence, it's a different game.
Yep.
But if they lose at Cincinnati, and if Cincinnati is able to play a physical game, you want Cincinnati to get their first Big 12 win.
And for the people out there that might be younger, might be more confused about how we're getting these rooting interests, if you've played a team and you've beat them, you want them to win out. If you have a team on your schedule like this year for the first time in many years that they aren't on your schedule, well, you want them to win because you can't beat them. You can't make that loss number go up for them. So that's, I guess, like standings wise, always cheer for the teams that you've already beaten, because that's a safe bet. You got a tiebreaker with
Right.
them.
If you end up in the same situation, like let's say Oklahoma State wins out, and Iowa State and
got
Oklahoma
West
State
Virginia this
are,
weekend.
and let's say Oklahoma State and Iowa State are tied at the end of the year. The first tiebreaker in determining who goes to the Big 12 championship, theoretically in this situation, is head to head. Did Iowa State beat Oklahoma State? Yes. Iowa State advances.
Absolutely. Okie State at West Virginia. That'll be a kind of matchup game, and
root
you're
for
cheering
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma
Yep.
State.
Yes,
'cause
root for
West
Oklahoma State.
Virginia's not on your schedule.
So to recap, we're cheering for Oklahoma.
both
And
Oklahoma
I don't know if
schools.
cheering is the proper term. Would be excited if Oklahoma won because it's better for Iowa State.
Yep.
Then want Cincinnati to beat Baylor.
Yeah,
And want Oklahoma State to beat West Virginia.
absolutely. Texas goes at Houston at 3
Oh,
o'clock.
man, if Houston
Do
Houston
it.
could beat
Go
Texas.
Houston.
Oh, if Houston could beat Texas,
I don't.
That's a huge
I don't
rooting.
trust Texas.
I will actually be rooting for Houston in that situation. Is it going to happen? No, Texas is going to beat them by 100. But
You
if
think?
Houston, I don't think there's enough talent at Houston. Even though, despite the craziest, that West Virginia Houston game was bananas. But I don't think there's enough. I don't think Houston has enough juice to go up to beat Texas. Maybe they do. If they do, then that's awesome for Iowa State,
That would be
because
huge.
the more you can get Texas reeling, the more you could, because Texas will infight. They will fight amongst each other.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
And the more you can do that, the more effort they get with actually fighting anybody else.
Yes.
And so if they were to lose to Houston, they got 2 losses,
They question everything.
they question everything. And the season doesn't matter anymore, because now you're probably not going to the championship game. You got to come to Ames, and they don't care. That's what happened when you guys beat the shit out of them, and Brees ran for 700 yards.
Yeah.
They didn't care.
They will quit.
For sure. Texas Tech at BYU.
It
6
doesn't
p.m.
matter.
on FS1.
Texas
Yes, you're
Tech, because then BYU is still, again, reeling. Keep their confidence down.
Yep.
TCU at Kansas State with that Avery Johnson kid that, my goodness, Joel Lanning on Saturday night. Did you see that? He's a freshman. He's got long flowing blonde hair, so it makes him look 5 miles per hour faster than he actually is. And he rushed for 5 touchdowns, Jeff.
Oh,
Came in the
yeah.
game,
He was the backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Because Will Howard didn't play. I think he was a healthy scratch. I don't think he actually was injured. Yeah. Anyway,
I'm looking at Kansas State's schedule. Do they have all their big games at home this year? How did they voodoo magic that?
well, I mean, it just kind of happens.
I
Iowa
guess.
State wasn't going to be a big game.
Thanks a lot, Big 12.
I feel like you want Kansas State to lose in that situation to build in a little bit of buffer, right? Because it's Tech, Kansas State. Is that what we're talking about?
Kansas State, TCU.
Kansas State, TCU. Yeah,
Sorry.
TCU. The better TCU is, the better it is for Iowa State at this point throughout the season.
Absolutely. I think you want TCU to win that game, keep Kansas State out of there, make sure this Avery Johnson kid isn't necessarily going to.
You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
He's going
to like the word.
He's got to face John Haycock.
He's got to face John. He's going to have maybe one more. He might do okay this game, but as soon as coordinators get a chance to see what you like, there's way too much good coaching in this league to be able to have like 2-3 games in a row of just unencumbered success, because
this is
all of a
best
sudden it's the best he's going to look, because I get to see what do you not like to do, and I'm going to make you do only that the entire rest of the season.
Well, and this is such a fan-specific thing that you wouldn't understand the half of. The amount of Iowa State, Kansas State games I've watched in my life that have just not gone the way you think. It just doesn't make sense. It's the Oklahoma State rivalry. Yeah.
I played in them.
I got that, Jeff. I'm just saying, like, you wouldn't have that belief that, okay, it's Kansas State, something weird's going to happen.
Oh, something weird for sure will happen. Always happens. Anyway, Iowa State's in good position.
Fantastic position. I can't wait to parade around next Tuesday after just sitting around for 7 days. It's going to be our best episode yet. I'll promise everyone that.
It's got to be better than this one then.
I know. Well, this one wasn't great.
I bet there'll be a lot of random things on next Tuesday.
I will do as much TikTok preparation as I can. My algorithm is so screwed up. I'm not getting the like, did you see this Bigfoot evidence in Colorado like I was last week? It's completely gone away. It's just funny videos now. So I gotta do some hashtagging and some liking on different things to we'll get it rectified.
There we go.
Did you guys see that Chargers fan that people think was planted at the game last night?
I saw one.
She wasn't planted at the game. She's just super excited.
So the big thing is
also all
she
these
was
interns
chanting like, "Get him!" when the Chargers were on offense.
She just doesn't understand football. Like,
I know that's where I'm at, but people are fully sold on that she was planted by the NFL.
People assume so much intention. People assume so much intention behind everything, when in reality, people are kind of dumb. Like if you just go
give the NFL that much credit,
right? If people generally are just kind of dumb.
Out of any league to put industry plants in the stands, like I've seen it in the NBA. You've seen the Chicago Bulls mascot like throw a drink on somebody. That's staged. It's 100% staged. You can't just throw a drink on some random guy. But the NFL is not going to be the league to put an industry plant in the stands.
No, and they just have like cameras panning through, and they want to get crowd shots because there's 16, 20 cameras.
Every account that's tweeting those out has been, it's some intern put on the beat of watch all these NFL games and tweet funny captions with these videos that we give you.
Is this it?
Yeah,
it's hard for it to not be.
Yeah, that's her. But she is at various points just super excited or super nervous.
Get him.
Yeah, like they. Yeah, that's just a lady who's really interested. Like I was sitting in the stands, watching the game, and I don't know if you have the same experience, Colin. When just as a general fan, a thing that like is annoying is like unhelpful encouragements. Like you're running around, the opposing offense is on the field, your defense is on the field, and people are going, "Get him!" Oh, got it. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Yeah. And like it's like a sort of natural, but it's one of those things like anytime people are
tackle and block.
Oh, got it. We are supposed to tackle him. So get him. And everybody just shouting, "Get him." That doesn't help. It's one of those things that like, oh man. And then also just whenever someone shouts out like some really confident but wrong, like that to me is like, throw it to the tight end. It's like, no, you're not throwing it to the tight end. The tight end right there is distracting. He's trying to pull the linebacker down. He is not involved in the option. Like it just when people are just confidently wrong.
Or penalties.
Oh yeah, the penalties. Usually the referees are right. Like most of the time, the referees are right.
Yeah, people don't.
All right, I'm back off the Jeff Woody train after he said that. I just hate all referees.
Most of the time, the referees are right. Most of the time, the referees are right. They call a pass
interference. You haven't watched the NHL in a long time, brother.
I haven't watched the NHL probably ever.
We'll get you in front of a TV for a game.
So I don't have a stance against it, the NHL. I got better things to do with my time.
All right. Well, that's what I'm going to do the next 7 days. We'll have a presentation next week.
I want it in PowerPoint.
Okay.
Right there.
I'll see what I can do. We'll see what my week brings me. This has been Football and Random Things presented by Wiffles Hybrid. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Go Cyclones.